Hello everyone, so this is going to be the first video of 2026, so Happy New Year. I'm not sure exactly when this is going to get all edited and stuff, but I'm going to try to put it in the new year. I have a couple of videos that I'm going to be putting out in the new year, so this is the first one that I know for sure this is definitely going to be in the new year. I don't have any plans for uploading before then, so all of these should be in the new year anyway, but whatever, regardless. Thank you for joining me. I just want to say the outpouring of love that has come from the shorts that I've been uploading, thank you. If you are not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. Down below, turn on the post notifications because I randomly upload, so I try to keep it pretty consistent, but it just doesn't seem like my ideas are coinciding with any specific day, so I'm not super sure how I want to do it. So I do keep it random. So make sure that your notifications are on so it'll tell you every time I upload. Make sure you're commenting down below. I really want to hear where you guys are at with stuff and what you think. I am interested. Yeah, so I hope you guys had a great Christmas. As I'm filming, it is Christmas Day. It's a very quiet day. We had our family thing Sunday, so we did that. That was so fun, and now we're just chilling. I've already watched so many movies. I'm like movie binging, but it's just nice to rest and relax and just kind of be like home. Not really have anything going on. It's just nice. Having said that, it got me thinking as I watched a couple of these movies. There's something I've noticed, and I really want to talk about this because I feel like this is a hot button issue, and I really want to get into it because I have some thoughts. So, I watched movies from so many decades, so many time periods, and I've noticed some differences in movies from a certain time period and then movies from now. Like if you watch a movie from now, it's so different. It's so stifled. It's like there's this bubble around it and it doesn't actually exude. It doesn't actually give anything. And it's funny because you can have nostalgia for movies, and I definitely have that. There's movies that remind me of my childhood that I just love to watch, and I will go back and I'll watch them, and it's nice. It's nice. It's a nice feeling. It's just a nice remembrance of that time period, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I'm not necessarily talking about nostalgia with this. I'm talking about the way that we handled situations. I'm going to make a very interesting point in this video, so please stay tuned, but I have my little notes here, my little mini notes. There are two movies that I want to highlight, and then there's something else that I want to highlight later in the video. So I want to talk today about how we deal with the issues of consent and women dealing with issues where maybe they were not listened to, I guess I could say. So we have two very interesting stories that I want to highlight, and I don't know if either of them were true stories. It didn't seem to say, so probably neither of them were. but I want to talk about how the 90s dealt with it so well. I can remember seeing these movies when I was little, like on the TV, but I never actually watched them all the way through and never actually like paid attention to them because I was obviously a child, like a toddler, so I didn't, and little, I didn't really, see what it meant. But the first one that I want to talk about is a movie called She Fought Alone, and it's from like 1994 or something. I'll have all this stuff up here. It has Tiffany Amber Thiessen in it, and I love her. Loved her in Saved by the Bell. A lot of people don't like Saved by the Bell, but I actually think it's a cute show, and I feel like especially the main show, it was great. I liked the college episodes too. I thought they were very Friends-esque, which was really cool because I actually kind of like Friends. I think it's a good show. It's not like something that I watch all the time. I don't have any way to really watch it all the time, but I did watch here and there while I was growing up, and I really enjoyed it. But anyway, so in this movie, she plays a girl who she has this guy who likes her, and she is not like dating him, but they end up in this group situation together, and she meets his friend, and she likes his friend, and she and his friend are talking, and one thing leads to another is the best way I can say it for YouTube. And so she is, a little nervous, but ends up, talking to him more, and the other guy doesn't really like it. When she kind of basically reveals it in a weird way, in kind of a mixed up way, it kind of all happens at once. Said guy goes to her house and asks to talk to her, and it escalates. Let's just say that. And it's a issue of consent, and this guy is somebody who is a part of the football team, and it's a small town, and basically the whole thing that we all know. Very interestingly, she learns that this is something that hasn't really been dealt with. Like, it hasn't been fought. And at first she's not going to, but then she decides she's going to. You can look it up on YouTube for free. I'm not going to give anything else away. Please watch it. It was very, very well done, and I was engrossed in the story the whole time. Very, very good. Very tasteful in the way that they portrayed her sort of persistence. I'm glad that they added that. Next one is one called Freshman Fall. It's with Candace Cameron Bure. We love her in this house. We love her. I don't know if she'll ever see this video, because how does that get to anybody? I don't know, but if she ever sees it, such a big fan. Great job. But yeah, this movie was definitely different from, if you know her work, this is absolutely the opposite of what you would have expected. I said, rated mature? Wait. So she plays a college student. It must have been right after she got married, because her name was Candace Cameron Bure and not Candace Cameron, but she was younger-ish. So it was probably one of the first movies that she did married, which is kind of cool to see that. I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. I think it was 96, so I would have been a little older. I would have been depending on when it came out, 5. So obviously I didn't see this movie, but so she plays a college student. Obviously, we can see by the name of it, it's her freshman year. She's kind of nervous, and she's like, okay, well, I have, a dorm mate. I have, and her brother is going to the same school, so he's like, oh, I got you, you're fine. So she feels comfortable. She feels like, okay, this is going to be okay. This is a good idea. A great way to sort of branch out without being completely isolated. And I agree, 100%. And it's her first day, and her dorm mate says, oh, let's go to this party. And she's like, well, I haven't really eaten anything, so we should probably be careful. And they're like, okay, yeah, just, be careful. And the brother's friend is like, oh, well, this stuff over here is fine. It doesn't have anything in it. Like, just have this. He lied to her. And basically, chaos ensues. But he tells her that didn't happen and she's crazy. Her brother says, there's no way I know him. We've known each other for years. Mm-mm. But is that really what happened? And this is a very predominant upper class school and area. So a very different sort of side to all of this, because so many times we see the small town football, good old boys kind of thing, and that happens. Absolutely, we know this. But to see this was shocking. A upper class sort of, a very high society kind of place. You would think that there was a lot more civilization in it, but you would be wrong. And that really got me thinking, because, growing up, we, at least in my generation, we were taught, that stranger danger thing. And, if anybody remembers the Berenstain Bears, when they had the whole strangers, and then like Mama Bear talked about the apple, and sometimes an apple looks great, but when you cut it open, it's not so great. And sometimes an apple is not necessarily the prettiest, but when you cut it open. And so it really does prove that it doesn't matter what things look at from the surface. Like, when you see somebody from the surface, it doesn't matter how they look or how they are. You have to know them a little bit better before you can judge. But where does it come in that we have, like, I have a red flag, I'm not going to go further than this? Because, in this story, we see her kind of having a little bit of a red flag, like, but I haven't eaten, I'm feeling a little weird, and it's just a continuance. And when do we tell girls, no matter what age they are, if you start to have red flags, cut it off. Cut it off. Don't feel like, oh, well, don't know. Good night. Thank you so much. Find a way to get someone's attention who can come and walk with you to get away from the situation. When do we say this? We don't say this anymore. And this was something that we talked about a lot. Even when I was a teenager, like, we brought up the issue. I'm reminded of another movie, I'm not going to really talk about it, but called Reviving Ophelia, and everybody made fun of it, but honestly, the story, it made sense. And I saw girls my age dealing with that, and I would say, why? What are we doing? What are we doing here? And so it really just made me notice such a difference in the way that we have sort of washed out consent, but we want to talk about it. That's when Christmas time came. We started listening to Christmas music, and let me tell you that I think I've heard every version of This Christmas this year. Last year, It was White Christmas this year. It's this Christmas. And I have to say my favorite is probably it used to be Chris Brown, which but but now I think it's Mary J. Blige. But I digress. But one of the ones that played a lot too was Baby It's Cold Outside. And if you remember back a couple of years ago, we banned this song because it was about consent. And we had to go on and on and on and on about it. And then I heard Idina Menzel and Michael Bublé. Her version, her part. So there's a girl part and a boy part, if you remember. And her part was completely altered, while his remained the same. Where's the fairness in that? Because why are we singing a different way? Like, why are we singing a different way, but he doesn't have to, if we're talking about consent? And now I want to get into the history of it, because most people don't know where this actually comes from, and I want to kind of bring this up so that we can sort of understand it. Because I didn't see anybody explain this, and I didn't know anything about it until I actually watched this movie that I'm going to talk about. So, this song is a part of a musical called Neptune's Daughter. It is available on YouTube for free. Please watch it. It is the most freaking adorable movie I've ever seen in my life, and I love it so much, and I think I want to watch it again because it was so cute. Ricardo Montalban plays a Mexican polo player, and Red Skelton, I believe is how you say his name, is a con artist who pretends to be him in this movie. And so there's two sisters. One is older, and she runs like a fashion business or something. Her bathing suit business. Like she creates new bathing suits. Side note, the bathing suits at this time period, it was like a 40s, 50s kind of movie. So freaking cute. Why don't we make bathing suits like this now? Now they're just ugly. These are adorable. But anyway, again, I digress. So he creates this story that he is this man from Mexico who's a polo player, and meets her sister, who's kind of a party girl, and she ends up going out and being like, oh, let's dance, let's da-da-da-da. And she basically falls in love with him, and he is freaking out. And it's the funniest thing. She tells her sister, and then the actual Mexican polo player shows up. And she says, stay away from my sister. And he's like, what? And he begins to fall in love with her. So at one point, getting to my point, she goes to his house thinking that she's there, that her sister is there. She's not there, but he is greatly excited to see her. And he is putting on the charm. And he begins to offer her a drink and come sit down. And she begins to sing Baby It's Cold Outside, and he begins to answer her. On the other side of town, we see that younger party girl sister has invited fake Mexican polo player to her house, and he is freaking out because he doesn't know what he's going to do next. And he begins to sing Baby It's Cold Outside while she answers. We have it from both ends, and it is the funniest scene. It's a joke because it's absolutely outrageous. So where do we draw the line? Because we have so many movies that have talked about consent that now we have erased, and now we've totally ripped out the idea of, we have a joke of a song that we're flipping out about, that we erase everything and we change it for the girl part and basically make the girl feel like she did something wrong. I just don't feel like this is fair at all. And I feel like if we really want to talk about consent, this is an issue. And do I have, the whole spiel? No, because I'm not that. But I do feel like if we're going to talk about it, we need to really get to the heart of it, and we really need to understand where we all went wrong and where this all changed and where we went from talking about this and saying this is what's wrong to now we don't even bring it up. It's just something that, we'll just change the words. But for who? And if we're changing her part, isn't that saying that she did something wrong? Because he doesn't have to change his part. So aren't we perpetuating the issue? I don't know. We have a song. It wasn't even cold outside when they were singing the song. That was the point, it was absolutely ridiculous. And you can tell by that it's just should come from something totally different. And, it's something that just, if you don't know, don't talk about it. And it's where I tend to get a little bit fed up with culture today, because we're so uncultured that we don't even take the time to learn and grow as people and change and understand the full spectrum of everything. And I don't know, it's just, I want to know when we start to become civilized humans and actually have, culture where we understand where things come from and we can look at it and appreciate it for what it is. We can talk about 7 brides for 7 brothers, and I think I talked about this in one of my other things that I did. And so many people are going on and on and on about it, and if you've never seen it, you're the one who's complaining about it, because if you've seen it, it's the most adorable thing, and it is so goofy silly, and it's absolutely everything you could want in a musical, and there's nothing wrong with it, because it's a musical. Okay, it's a totally different world, and it has nothing to do with what you think it does. And in saying that, that's where, we have a totally, but then we can have these shows and these movies and these songs, let's talk about the songs, that totally reverse and nullify what you're complaining about. So with that, I want to leave you with that thought, like, when do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? How do we, as a culture, actually pay attention? And when do we nitpick? And when do we we've totally erased it, and we've totally nullified all of it, and that's something that we need to get away from. If you want a list of artists that have done this, I can give it to you. But I'm pretty sure we all know who they are. And yeah. There will be more videos in the future that are more fun, but I wanted to get this out there. I wanted to do this because I think we need to talk about it, and I hope that you'll share this and you'll get this message out, because I really feel like it needed to be said, and I don't know if anybody ever said it, but if they didn't, now I did. And I hope you guys will continue to watch my videos and have an amazing new year. And I hope you'll tune into the next video. Bye, guys.